Roses are red, violets are blue. You have nice hair and you don't smell like...
Would you like to be my girlfriend? Okay.
Ben's got a girlfriend.
It's Valentine's Day, folks, and I'm sure many of you have nothing special planned today, aside from a date with your couch eating a tub of ice cream while all rolled up in the biggest blanket you have. So, why not have something to watch besides romantic comedies or The Office for the 1000th time? So today, I will talk about the top 10 romantic animated movies. Just to keep in line with the spirit of Valentine's Day, now this was a bit of a tricky list because it can either have been dominated by Disney movies, and some of you may have booed me for various reasons, or it could have been dominated by anime movies. Not that kind of anime movies. Trying to keep it PG here at least. So, I try to keep it diverse as possible and focus on the story and characters, message, and just the love story in general. But let's be honest here, I just picked what I like. So, without further ado, let's hop on our swan boat and sail into the tunnel of love.
Thumbelina!
No, this is not a Disney film, despite what many of you might believe. Created by Don Bluth, the one man who rivaled Disney, Thumbelina is a story about a tiny woman born from a seed. Not that kind of seed. An actual plant seed after her mother wished for a child of her own because finding a husband was too hard apparently. Or it could be the fact that she's really just too old. Either way, Thumbelina came out a tiny adult-sized woman, not a child. So I feel like she got gypped there. But how is this a romantic movie? How is Thumbelina ever gonna find love when she is the size of a condom? I'm glad you asked. Thumbelina meets the fairy prince Cornelius.
May I cut in?
I like this guy already. It's the traditional love at first sight story, accompanied by a song like many 90s animated movies. I guess what's different from the other Disney Renaissance films is that throughout the movie, multiple characters try to marry Thumbelina, but for the wrong reasons. Whether it's good for show business, or just looks, or financial stability. Thumbelina turns them all down and waits for Cornelius, who's actually a little bit too busy doing his best impression of an ice cube. And if you're into the cheesy songs and the whole true love conquers all kind of deal, you will enjoy Thumbelina. And hey, maybe you'll find your favorite prince one day. I just hope height isn't a deal breaker. A love story for all the emo kids to love. One of the more gloomier looking animated films thanks to Tim Burton, but sure to spark some feeling in those who are emotionless. The Corpse Bride is a story about Victor Van Dort, more like Van Dork, a kind and timid man who was arranged to be married to Victoria I actually have no idea how to pronounce that last name. But only because it raises Victor's family's social status and gives Victoria's family wealth. Now, we all know the deal with arranged marriages. They don't ever really work, and half the time the couples end up hating each other. But that's not the case for Victor and Victoria. They were made for each other. As if their names couldn't tell you that already. While it was cute to see Victor and Victoria connect from the get-go, I was more interested in the relationship Victor had with his corpse bride. I said the name of the movie, guys. You can all go home now.
You may kiss the bride.
Emily, who he accidentally marries while practicing his vows. Emily is devoted to Victor and loves him already, which is a little bit crazy, seeing how she just met him. But it could also be because she wants to be married. I mean, she did die waiting to be married, and that's probably why she'll do anything for Victor, because she doesn't want him to leave her. Which only makes you feel sad for Emily when Victor manipulates her into taking him back to the mortal world just so he can reunite back with Victoria. And it's not like Victor is an evil person. Obviously, he is meant for Victoria, but as I kept watching the movie, I just couldn't stop hoping that Victor instead stays with Emily. I mean, she might be dead, but she seems more livelier than Victoria. And during the movie, there are scenes where you see Victor genuinely starts to fall for Emily. It's really beautiful, actually, and I'm not going to spoil the end of the movie. You guys will need to watch to find out what happens. And I know some of you may be tired of Tim Burton's God style, but I feel his best work is in the animation department, and he tells a strange love story here, one that I'm sure many will enjoy. I really don't know why every time there is a movie about Latino culture, it's 95% of the time based on Day of the Dead. Seriously, I'm sure we have more holidays that we celebrate. I wouldn't know, because I was born in the US, so I'm pretty Americanized. So educate me, damn it! Alright, enough about that. Let's stay on topic here. The Book of Life is a wonderful story about two best friends, Manolo and Joaquin, who are both after the same girl, their childhood friend, Maria. They both try their best to win her over, with Joaquin protecting the town from bandits and in doing so becomes the town's hero, hoping that impresses her. While Manolo is a bit more romantic in his approach, serenading her at the window with the guitar she gave him as a child, and showing her the most beautiful thing he has ever seen. Hint, it's not just her. Manolo is clearly gonna win Maria over, especially when they both profess their feelings to each other. It's just that, unfortunately, Maria dies. Just kidding. Manolo actually dies, doing his best Romeo and Juliet impression, saying he cannot live without Maria, so he also gets bit by the same snake that bit her. But except the snake kills him. You see where love gets you? It gets you dead. But this sets Manolo out on his journey to return back to life and win back Maria before Joaquin marries her. Dun dun dun. But what makes this love story stand out a bit more is that while all three friends did grow up together, it's the things that Manolo did as a child that stood out more and what maybe have won him Maria a long time ago. And it's also why we want Manolo to get Maria and not Joaquin. And Maria is no prize to be won or an object of affection for the movie. She has standards and can see through Manolo's and Joaquin's antics to win her over. It's an amazing story that is uniquely animated and gives a break from the traditional Disney or Pixar style. And I really don't want to spoil much for you guys. You're just gonna have to watch this movie. Alright, not too bad. 3 movies into this list and we arrived at the first Disney entry. And yes, it's the generic love story, if you want to call it that. But take a closer look and you'll see it's where Disney really started to flesh out the male characters. Mainly the prince. And what better way to focus on the prince than to have him be a badass beast? The Beast is one of the reasons this is one of my favorites, if not my favorite Disney movie. You get to see him go from a selfish, angry, and arrogant outcast to a compassionate and hopeful being. I know everyone always says this movie is about finding the beauty within the person or loving someone for who they are, but it's also much more than that. These are 2 characters who are treated as outcasts. Belle for reading books and not falling in line like everyone else in the village, and Beast, well, it's because he's a beast and everyone is struck with terror to even get close to him, let alone try to understand him. And the love story between them, and to me the reason why they fall in love, is because they find solace in each other. The Beast doesn't think Belle is a weirdo for even reading. I mean, if anything, he encourages it. For God's sakes, he offers her a library, damn it. And Belle, well, she's probably the first person in a long time to ever even try to understand the Beast, let alone even confront him and call him out on his antics. What's even more enjoyable though is seeing their relationship grow. I mean, Belle came a long way from being a prisoner. I mean, it's cute when you see them start to warm up to each other. I mean, this movie can and probably should be higher on this list, but that would be a little bit biased of me, so I'm just gonna keep it here. And I'm sure many of you have watched this movie before. And if you haven't, try looking at it at a different angle now. Many of you have probably never heard of the Swan Princess. Or maybe you have. I don't know your life. I only know it because my cousin across the street had it. But before I get carried away with going down memory lane, this princess movie is different than the others because instead of falling in love at first sight or meeting at the end of the movie, they grow up together. And that's very important because now we have a reason to care for these two and why they need to be together. And the relationship is a bit more natural and relatable. Not the fairy tale ending most people complain about seeing in Disney movies, because those people can't tell the difference between reality and fiction. Also, Derek is a bit of a badass with a bow. But not with the ladies, seeing as how he offends Odette, and good for her for having some self-respect. She wants to know what else Derek loves about her besides her beauty, and when he can't say, she calls off the marriage. But in defense for Derek, it shows that men aren't always the best at communicating their feelings. I think we're all guilty of that. And Derek truly loves Odette and spends the rest of the movie trying to prove it. The movie also has the princess rescue herself. Instead of just laying around, waiting in a dungeon, and waiting for Derek to arrive, she works on a plan to escape and finds Derek that leads her back to where she's being held captive. It's a really underrated movie, I believe, and holds up well even in this time. Plus, it also has one of the best, sassiest villains ever. So check it out, guys. This movie is a gem. And while there is a love story between Danny and Sawyer, I'll come back to that. The real love story I want to focus on, though, is between Danny and his passion for becoming a Hollywood star. I mean, he goes all out for that one slim chance of making it, especially when everything around him is set up for him to fail. While everyone else is realistic and willing to settle and fall in line, Danny isn't. He's full of optimism, a dreamer, and knows that if he gets his chance in the spotlight, he will impress. And it's Danny's love and passion for entertaining people that brings out the best in others and even gives hope to Sawyer. That's real love right there. And while yeah, Danny does want to become a big star, that's not his main goal. His main goal is to entertain people, to give them laughter and fun. Becoming a star is just a side effect.
All I want to do is the thing I love. Doesn't everyone?
I'm right there with you, Danny. Now back to Danny and Sawyer's relationship. They have contrasting views. Danny being naive, full of hope and wonder, and eager to work in Hollywood, while Sawyer is more realistic, sarcastic, and knows just how Hollywood really is. And cruel too. They each try to get the other to see their ways, with Sawyer eventually wins, but is not happy about it, seeing as how it breaks Danny. And I didn't even get to talk about the best part of the movie, and that's Darla Dimple. So you guys are just gonna have to watch that. A really underrated movie, and one that can really inspire for those who want to make it in the entertainment business. And we can all take a page from Danny's book, myself included. Alright, only 2 Disney movies in this list. Not bad if you ask me. And while I debated switching the places of Tangled and Beauty and the Beast, I elected not to. And that's because of one reason.
Wow. I could get used to a view like this. Right. Come on. Hold on. Yep. I'm used to it. Guys, I want a castle.
Flynn Rider. Perhaps the best Disney character ever created. The whole reason I love the movie is because of Flynn. Forget about the relationship and love he developed for Rapunzel. I'm just gonna talk about how much I loved Flynn in this movie. He's honest, sarcastic, and all around just a good guy. I enjoyed the dynamic between Rapunzel and him. Rapunzel has never been to the outside world, so she's filled with wonder and doesn't fully understand the dangers of the world. It's even better when Flynn tries to scare her, but Rapunzel brings out the best in whatever situation she's in. Also, Flynn asking the very important questions here, such as why is everyone always singing, and how does everyone know the same song? I also liked how we all expected Flynn to betray Rapunzel at one point. I kept waiting for it to happen, only to see him starting to care for Rapunzel and develop feelings for her as well. I mean, he even keeps his promise to her. Yeah, Flynn is what makes this movie great. What, you guys thought I was lying when I said I was going to talk about how much I loved Flynn in this movie? Go watch the movie and you'll see that this movie deserves to be in a top 4 spot. Just because of Flynn. Not like I have a man crush on Zachary Levi or anything. Do you want to ride the crazy roller coaster of emotions? Yes? Then this movie is for you. Your Name was a phenomenal movie, and not at all what I was expecting, and even more surprised by how deeply immersed I was with the story and characters. It's a story about Taki Tachibana and Mitsuha Miyamizu, who begin to switch bodies one summer when Mitsuha wishes to be a boy in her next life.
俺は夢の中であの女と入れ替わってる?
Obviously, there's hilarious moments when these two wake up in each other's bodies. I mean, I wonder what Mitsuha feels when she wakes up having a dick. With their body switching, Taki and Mitsuha bring out the hidden qualities that they each have. Taki being able to be more confident around women, and Mitsuha growing out of her shell and becoming more popular at school. It's crazy, because you see a relationship develop between these two characters who have never met. And you're just internally cheering them on and hoping that they meet because you know that they belong together. And the damn movie really throws curveballs at you. I don't think I've ever loved and been so angry at a movie so much before. It's a beautiful story, and the music in it just brings it to another level. It kind of relates to that feeling you have when you see someone and you feel that you've met them before, and also the connection you feel to certain people. This is one movie I really don't want to spoil because I feel like everyone has to watch it. It's a really enjoyable film and deals with a lot of issues. This one is actually cute, and aside from The Incredibles, my favorite Pixar movie. This one also does not count as Disney. It's Pixar. Totally different. WALL-E is a compact robot that gains sentience and lives alone on Earth with his pet cockroach. And the little guy has plenty of personality. He collects trinkets he finds when working on cleaning up the Earth's garbage, and he displays them all in his home. I can definitely relate to that because I myself have collection I've acquired through the years, and just like WALL-E, eager to show it off as well. WALL-E, however, wants more and longs for companionship. I mean, he's the only sentient being left on Earth. You can't really blame him. And if you're not torn at seeing him hold his own hand while watching Hello Dolly, then I don't want to live on this planet anymore. Luckily for WALL-E, companionship arrives in the form of Eve. Do you remember the first time you had a girl or boy come over and see your room and how nervous you were and wanting to impress them? WALL-E captures that feeling perfectly when he brings Eve to his home and shows off all his little trinkets. It's really cute, and you see how happy he is to have someone to show it to. And you also see just how much he cares for his little trinkets because at this point they are a part of him. And it's really adorable to see WALL-E when he realizes that he finally has someone to hold hands with, just like in his favorite movie. I know they're robots, but watching this movie makes you forget that, and WALL-E is that twinkle of wonder we all used to have as kids, finding joy in just about anything. And the lengths he goes to just to keep Eve safe and just to get her to like him, and ultimately get her to hold his hand, just how the characters in his favorite movie do. WALL-E is a quirky and adorable robot that will have you cheering for him and getting the companionship he so dearly longs for. After watching this movie, I knew it had to be number one on my list. It's a fascinating story that deals with bullying, love, and suicide. And one that can relate to all generations and the effects of bullying and dealing with it, as well as understanding the disabilities of someone as a child. Also, watching this film, I've learned just how cruel kids can really be. I mean, the movie starts out with Shoya attempting to commit suicide, only for him to come to his senses in the end and recalling his days of elementary school. And I guess he remembers just how mean he was to this one girl at school, Shoko, the deaf girl at his school. We all know as kids that if you're mean to someone, that means that you probably like them, and Shoya maybe does have feelings for Shoko. I mean, you can see the exact moment that he is smitten by her, which is really cute. And my god was he mean to her, like really mean. Like he even ripped out her hearing aids, causing her to bleed. Even fights with her, a bunch of other stuff happened that I'm not going to tell you about because you guys really need to watch this movie. You know when you have a crush on someone and you look for a reason to see them or talk to them and you spend hours upon days and weeks thinking how to do it and just wanting it to be natural? Well, that's what happens to Shoya when he wants to meet up with Shoko again. This movie makes a lot of scenarios that happens to all of us growing up very relatable. Also, Shoya as me definitely trying to flirt. Perhaps the most beautiful part of this movie though is the blossoming relationship between Shoya and Shoko. I mean, they've come a long way, especially from Shoya just bullying Shoko. And it's not like Shoya is hanging out with her just because he feels guilty of what he did to her. He's actually very remorseful of what he did, and even learns sign language to better communicate with her. The movie gets dark sometimes, and I mean like really dark and real. It explores issues that many of us have probably faced growing up. There are also loving and adorable moments in this movie as well, such as when Shoko expresses her feelings to Shoya, when she tells him that she loves him. And it's very cute, at the same time also frustrating because like, come on Shoya, she is trying her hardest, understand her, please. This movie definitely puts you through an emotional wreck, and I hope you're prepared for that, so bring the tissues. And at the same time, it gives you faith and also loses your faith in humanity as well. But in the end, I think it's a happy ending. So if there's one movie you need to check out from the list, make sure it's this one. I know you'll enjoy it. That's my top 10 animated romantic movies. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and if you think that there are other movies that deserve to be here. Also, check out my Instagram page to get a look at my collection of figures and other memorabilia. Hope you guys enjoyed. This is Geek Knight, signing off.